All right, babes.
Hello.
How you doing today at 11:32 a.m.?
11:23.
23.
Well, I think it's after 11:23 now.
I'm dyslexic. Keep going.
Oh my god.
I am.
You did that on purpose.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Oh.
Keep going, babes.
Okay. Good. Good. Very good. I thought it was earlier than that, but I guess it's because I slept in for another 20 minutes. We had some donuts, and we talked for a little bit, and then, yeah.
Started showering. We had a very interesting conversation this morning.
Yes, we did.
So, for full disclosure, we plan on making twice baked potatoes today.
Uh-huh.
I've done it in the past, but I think the last time I made them was back in 2008 when I was teaching cooking.
Uh-huh.
God, that's a long time ago.
Did they turn out pretty well?
The kids really like them.
Oh, awesome.
But I needed a refresher.
Uh-huh.
So we go on YouTube and we watched a video from Chef John. I think it was before we watched the actual video. I said to you, oh, babes, because you're not familiar with the stuff. And I said, this is the guy who for the longest time I thought was a conservative Christian. But then I watched the live stream with him and he actually seems cool.
And I responded by saying, what, you think that conservative Christians are square?
Yes.
Well, we watched the video and he explained it really well, but he made some really corny jokes like, and the top part is supposed to be on the bottom, so the bottom part is taller, and that's why tall people are better than short people, or something like that.
It sounded like something a conservative Christian would say.
It sounded like a dad joke.
Yes.
Like something that like a nerdy dad would say.
Oh.
And then there was one thing about like the potatoes are better short and fat than tall and skinny.
Just like your chef.
Is he tall and skinny?
I don't know. I think he's short and overweight. But there's that old saying, right? Never trust a skinny chef.
Okay.
Which has some merit to it, I believe.
Really? So you don't think that a skinny person could make really good and sometimes fattening meals?
No, but listen, it's not completely true. But I think in general, people who are overweight are better cookers.
Oh, well, you're not overweight.
I could stand to lose a few pounds, babes.
No, but generally, as far as girth is, you're not like all the way around roly poly.
No, listen, I'm not Chris Farley. But
yes.
If I lost 20 pounds of fat, it probably wouldn't be the end of the world.
Didn't he die? I know that he had an it was a drug overdose, right?
Yeah. Drugs and hookers.
Wow. Well, he had some issues anyway, right? By the time he was 33.
Mm-hmm. He had some fun, though.
Well, I don't know. It seems like the stars that are having quote-unquote fun seem to be the loneliest ones, though. Would you say? Because, I mean, Elvis was a pretty lonely guy.
There's some truth to that.
Elvis was a pretty lonely guy. I mean, if he was consumed with stardom, which it sounds like he was, and he was expected to deliver all the time, and he got into drugs, and I would imagine he was drinking a lot, and I don't remember if him and Priscilla got divorced.
I don't know if Elvis had a drinking problem, but I know that he had an issue with pills.
Yeah, and he went through several women, including Sybil Shepherd.
That's right.
And I think Linda Thompson.
Maybe I don't know.
Is it Linda Thompson?
Him as well as I should. I'm not a big Elvis.
Ginger
person.
something. I don't remember. I mean, I like some of his stuff, but I'm not like a huge fan of him. So I don't know. But he definitely had. I know that he had a really good friendship with Wayne Newton. And Wayne Newton actually recorded a song that was based on a note that he found, that was found after Elvis died.
Did Wayne Newton say that they were friends after Elvis was dead?
No, they were friends. No, they were friends even before he died. They used to talk about their marriages. They used to talk about, they used to talk about their lives. And Wayne Newton said that he had this feeling that Elvis was really lonely. So
people outside of Wayne Newton knew about this friendship before Elvis died?
I'm sure they did.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of people that have said, well, even with Sybil Shepherd, right? Sybil Shepherd was one of his girlfriends at one time. I'm not going to mention this person's name, but this person that I know, she claims that her family was friends with Elvis. Now, I can't back that up. That's what she says. I don't know. It could be completely false, but people have we've known of people that have dropped names.
Yeah, and about my Elvis connection, which is very thin at best.
Yeah, I know. You'll have to
a relative I never met.
Yeah.
Was in the army serving in the same platoon, I think it's called, that Elvis was in.
Yeah, that's a little bit far-fetched.
No, I believe that.
You do?
Yes, because if it was...
I guess it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, people served with Elvis in the military.
Right.
And if my relative who told me this wanted to make it seem like a bigger deal, they could have come up with a closer relative to say this about.
Right, exactly, yeah. But he, I'm guessing it's a he, said this numerous times to other people.
I'm assuming so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my grandmother, before she died, she told me the story. Not on her deathbed, but a couple years before.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Well, I also knew someone who said that Wayne Newton was really, at one point, really in love with her aunt.
Yeah, you told me that.
But of course, that nothing ever happened.
That's unfortunate. Her aunt could have been rich.
I know.
But married to Wayne Newton and having to hear about Elvis all day.
Oh my God. I don't think he would talk about Elvis all day, but he seems, in interviews, he doesn't seem like a stuck-up guy. I heard that he is pretty generous, and after his shows, the people that come to see him, I think they would all go out to dinner.
That's kind of cool.
Isn't that cool?
I wonder, though, if that's something that happened once for the press.
Bubs, I know you're cynical about actors and actresses, and I understand that.
Oh, I'm cynical in general, babes.
I know, that's the problem, though. You gotta,
I wonder if there was an occasion to where, this guy's doing a profile for me in Rolling Stone or the New York Times. So let's make this cool.
Hold on.
What?
You don't at all think that there are actual genuine stars that really do like their audiences? I'm
sure that there are celebrities who are actually genuinely nice people who are concerned about their fans. I absolutely believe that that's the case. Having said that, babes, I think it's rarer than you think it is.
But since we're talking about Wayne Newton, I mean, I haven't seen an interview where I thought that Wayne Newton was just a stuck-up person that wanted that wasn't a real person. I remember what really stuck out to me when he did that Cribs episode. Yeah,
you told me about this where he said master something outside of music. Well, you said that here, babes.
I know I did, but it bears repeating.
Go ahead.
He said that don't let one subject consume you. You have to have other interests. And I think that's probably how he stayed grounded in what he was doing.
He might be a nice guy. I don't think that he takes every audience out for dinner.
Maybe not every audience, but I heard that he has in the past, or at least one audience.
When there's a big time reporter there, I'm sure he has.
I don't think so, Bub.
All these.
You got to give some people the benefit of the doubt.
No, I'm sure he's a great man, and
instead of
he goes and cries at Sun every year. What are you doing?
I wanted to see if you were paying attention.
I am paying attention. We're just talking.
I wanted to see if you were paying attention to whether I was gonna if you knew I was gonna grab your iPad.
Oh, babes.
Okay, I'm just kidding.
Okay, good.
Cynicism aside.
Yes. I thought we had a fun debate this morning.
Okay.
About Christians not being fun in general.
Yeah. And I think that's a complete misconception.
A question I asked you was, do you know any conservative Christians? Well, I mean, I guess that's an oxymoron because you don't think that somebody can be liberal and also be a Christian.
I think that they're very, how should I say this? A liberal Christian to me is like an oxymoron. I think there is a dichotomy between the two of them.
Because liberalism teaches you to think for yourself, and Christianity teaches you to leave it in the hands of God.
No, hold on.
Go ahead.
I think you got this wrong. Liberalism tells you that anything goes, and that anything goes, no holds barred, no rules, no regulations or whatever you call it. And everything is pretty much handed to you by the government.
I would
so
go ahead.
The government to a liberal is their god, in my opinion. And I think that's generally what a liberal will tell you.
Okay, I would push back a little bit, and I would say to me, and it gets a little bit tricky because you have these new liberals who want to like censor everybody for every little thing they say. But I consider myself like more of, not a classical liberal, people use that term, but let's say a 90s liberal or an old school liberal, where to me, liberalism just means you have more freedom of thought to explore different ideas. And I see conservative as this idea of you're a little bit more inside a box. I
don't believe that.
Oh.
I don't know if you would call it inside of a box, but
and I'm being very general, right? I'm
yes,
dumbing
you are.
it down a lot.
But yes, you are.
Yes.
But I think that's where the misconceptions come in, because when you are thinking like, when I think about, being liberal with whatever you're using, let's take the kitchen for a minute. If you're being liberal with a certain spice, you're pretty much using as much of it as you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you're being conservative with it, of course, you use it sparingly. But when I think of conservative ideas, I don't think of it as being put in a box. I think of you are preserving ideas that have been around for a long time versus progressive liberalism. I think that's where I mean, I know a lot of people like to put liberals in different categories. And there are some liberals that are actually so I'm not going to say that every single liberal should be condemned or whatever.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not what I mean.
Go ahead.
There are liberals that are definitely for free speech. They are for gun rights.
Like me.
They are not for canceling anybody. So not for censorship. They are for peaceful protests, and they are for the military. And they're not, they're not like that. But I think that's, I think that's where a lot of the conservatives and some liberals do have in common. But then you have progressive leftists that are, well, let's change everything. Let's take over education, and they have, let's take over churches and schools, and let's relieve parents of their rights to parent. Let's get rid of a lot of things that have been put in place. So that's what I mean when I say that I don't know that a progressive liberal could be even, and a lot of them are not for religion either.
So this is weird because I kind of use the term progressive and liberal. I interchange them a lot, right? You probably noticed that. And maybe it's because I don't tend to associate with the super lefty people who are like offended by every single thing.
And they're just a completely woke.
Yeah.
And they want to change the speech.
I mean, I've met those people, but I kind of look at them as a joke.
Here, let me ask you a quick question because I just thought of something. Do you feel like when you talk to a person like that you're out of place?
I do. And I feel that more often than not, they're just virtual signaling to try to show that they're down with the cause.
I would agree with you.
And to me, I think that the way you show that you're down with the cause is just trying to be a cool person.
Yeah.
And, do your best and all of that stuff. So yeah. I laugh at those people who are extremely left-wing, just like I laugh at the extremely right-wing person. And so maybe it's because most of my friends fall on similar political lines as I do, with some exceptions, because I have super conservative friends that I don't really take super lefty or super conservative people that seriously. Mm-hmm. So that could be my own personal bias. I don't know if any of that makes sense.
I think so.
But you say that Christians who are of your ilk, and we can, they can have fun.
Of course, yes.
And by the way, there are conservatives who are trying to take over the school system too. But we'll drop that part for now. Let's focus on the Christians.
Okay, let's not talk about conservatives and liberals taking over everything, because that's a totally different story. But there are conservatives that do lighten up, and they do have a sense of humor. And I think it's a misconception. I have met Christians, I will say this, I have met Christians that are very holier than thou, and they're kind of judgmental. I would actually question them as well. And they're the ones that are like really hard on other people when they're not looking at themselves. I have a real problem with that.
And that's more my experience with Christianity. It's like they can let their hair down, but they get offended when you start to let your hair down. You know.
So here's my take on that.
Go ahead.
Now, I'm not going to be so hard, and I found myself doing that when I was a little bit younger, thinking that way. Because we all have been judgmental at times. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
Including Christians have been judgmental, including myself. And I haven't outright done that in somebody's face that I remember that I have, but I remember thinking like, ooh, this person is, this way, and I can't talk to them. But the problem with that is if you don't give a person a chance, you'll never know what their story is. You could actually be a help to them and not even know it. Now, I'm not going to get on somebody who's lost on every little thing, because this person won't understand that. This person doesn't understand Christianity, and it doesn't help anybody. But what I was trying to explain to you when I said about, questioning a person's faith and whether they're really strong in their faith or not, because there are Christians that are, of course, like I've said, self-righteous and really judgmental. But there are some Christians who are just Christians in name only, and they just call themselves that just to call themselves that, but they're not being very fruitful with their life. And I don't know if I explained it well enough.
Let me ask you a question that may or may not be on topic.
Okay.
And I did a variation of this morning, but we weren't recording then.
Okay.
Or earlier, rather. In your mind, could somebody be a good Christian and be a fan of the early music of Ice Cube?
I don't know. I mean, I personally am not really an Ice Cube person.
And you know that I love Ice Cube.
I mean, I'm not like... There's something to be said, though, okay?
Go ahead.
Now, I'm not one to censor anybody's music at all. I think that people can listen to what they want to listen to, but if you're thinking about what is being said in the topics that they're talking about, what kind of content you're putting into your mind, what kind of content you're surrounding yourself with, that is troublesome to me. I'm not going to tell someone, hey, you can't listen to that.
Yeah.
Because I can't, I'm not in their life, and they have their own, some people might say to me, hey, don't listen to No Doubt. It's rock. But I like their stuff. It really, I mean, I think it's an individual thing. I'm not going to tell someone that you can't listen to underground gangster rap.
Yes. It's
not my thing, because I don't want to surround myself with that content a lot. Or I'm not going to tell someone, don't watch that show. I will tell them what's in it. And I'll say, if you want to watch something like that, watch it at your own discretion, but this is what you should look for. And if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But I'm not going to say ban it completely from the streaming sites and don't let anybody see it, because I think it's ridiculous.
Let me take a different angle with this question.
Did I even answer part of your question?
I think so, but I want to get a little bit more of a concrete example.
All right.
Let's say something bizarre happens and I tell you, Alana, I'm going to become a Christian and I am going to burn my Bernie Sanders books and no longer pine after AOC. And now I'm with, insert conservative hero here of whoever the new conservative hero is, right?
Okay.
And I say, I'm a Christian from now on, and I love my flag and all that stuff.
Well, and some liberals do too.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the flag. It's just
Okay.
a symbol, in my opinion. And if people get upset that the flag is being burned, I see that take. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I see it, and I would not burn it.
I think it's disrespectful, but go on.
I think it's disrespectful too, but
Go
it's
on.
not my fight.
Go on.
Okay, and I say I'm America first now, babes, and the Bible second, or whatever. So I start reading the Bible. I start, listening to lectures about Jesus, and I'm all in. And we go to church every Sunday. And on top of that, when I play music, occasionally I still like to listen to Dead Prez or Immortal Technique. But I'm open about it. I don't try to hide it. I don't try to play it when you're not around. I play it in my normal playlists, and I'm open with whoever asks me about it, whether they're a secular friend or somebody I meet at church. How would you feel about that?
Well, like I said, it's an individual thing. I don't need to listen to it, but I'm not going to tell you what to listen to it to. You have to decide whether you want that content, whether you want to be around that content or not. I'm not going to tell you to boycott it, because I think that people should choose what music they listen to, and that I've had problems with people saying, get rid of all your secular stuff, because it's one thing to listen to it, it's another thing to participate in it. Like if you're listening to gangster rap and you're also in a gang, I would have a problem with that.
What if I'm in a Christian gang, and instead of doing drive-bys, we throw Bibles at opposite gang members?
Bubs.
Okay, sorry.
Come on.
Okay.
Now you're just joking.
Let me I'm almost done with this, but I just want to ask one more question, which could turn into 50 knowing me, but I'll try to keep it down.
Yeah, it's going to be 10 instead of 1.
Would you? Yes. I'm kind of like Paul on Clubhouse. Let's see if I can get through this before 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If I was, let's say, singing along to a Immortal Technique song, and we're in bed and we're good Christians, would you ever say to me, hey, I love you, and I know you're into the Bible now, and that's awesome, but I don't know how you can be an Immortal Technique fan and still be a conservative Christian?
Well, I would consider that, like I said, I think it's an individual thing.
Right, but you wouldn't have to have a talk with me.
I wouldn't have to have a talk with you, and I'm not going to be listening to it.
Oh.
And I wouldn't be in bed with you.
Immortal Technique has some great music.
Yeah. And it wouldn't matter if I was sleeping, and it wouldn't matter if we were sitting in the living room.
Or in bed.
Or not.
We're in bed right now.
Or, well, sitting in bed, yeah.
Yeah, but
in my bed. On my bed.
Together.
Ugh, Bubs.
Oh, but I'm not a Christian, so that doesn't count.
Bubs.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's exactly.
If your mom listens to
private.
this. Okay, yes. And if your mom listens.
Bubs.
Hold on, babes.
Hold
on, babes. If your mom listens to this, we're both virgins.
Bubs.
We're both virgins.
Bubs.
And we've never even kissed each other.
Okay, you're just mocking now.
I would never do that.
Mocking.
All right, babes, I got a question for you. Since we're both virgins.
Bubs.
And I've never... Hold on, babes, come on.
Come on, Bubs, you're not taking me seriously.
Okay, can I get a kiss?
No.
No, but I'm a virgin. I've never had a kiss.
I don't like you.
I'm a good Christian. Give me a kiss.
I love you, but I don't like you.
I love you, babes. Can I get a kiss? Come on.
Why?
Because you know you want to give me a kiss. Come on.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, virgin aside.
Yes.
What is your actual question?
No, I was just curious about the whole gangster rap thing. So here's another question.
Mm-hmm.
Psychedelics are now legal in Portland. If you had a conservative Christian friend who said that they occasionally smoke marijuana, they don't do it all the time, but occasionally just for fun, it's not for medical use, but just because they want to have a good time and chill out once in a while, and they were honest about that with you, and they weren't hiding it from it. It wasn't something that they advertised, but it wasn't something that they hide it either. Would you talk to that person and ask, well, how can you be a good Christian and still do this?
Absolutely, I would. And
Wow.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I would. This is different than music.
Okay. Yes,
okay?
It is.
Music is something that has to do with your ears. You're listening to it.
Yes.
I can't really control that because it's not a behavior. It doesn't necessarily alter your judgment, although depending on the content that you're listening to, it may or may not. But if you're partaking in drug use, and I feel that it is in danger to their health, my health, and it also people, like, if I was the only person they told about this.
No, let's say they're honest about it.
Then
like,
I would talk to them and say, hey, look, if you are putting a substance in your system and especially if they have a type of authority, like if they're a Sunday school teacher, if they're an adult Sunday school teacher, or if they're teaching children especially, then I would have a lovingly but firm talk with them and ask them what's going on here, because if they are practicing something that is against what they're preaching, then there's something wrong.
Well, what if smoking marijuana isn't against what they're preaching? What if they just try to avoid that topic completely?
I would still talk to them about it.
Wow. So
I would.
I want to make sure I understand you clearly.
Let me clarify this, okay? Let me clarify this, because not every Sunday school teacher is going to be right about everything.
Yes.
And if they are following what the Bible says and what it actually says and not what they're interpreting, and even if they are like the best Sunday school teacher in the world or the best pastor in the world, we Christians have a right to question everything that they're taught. And if it isn't biblically based, then Christians have a right to say, hey, to confront them and lovingly and say, hey, what you're talking about is really contrary to what the Bible teaches.
Okay, so here's my question, and I think I know the answer, but I just want to make sure. Okay. Let's say somebody's a Sunday school teacher or preacher,
yes,
but they're very active in their church, and it's a church that you go to and believe in.
Right.
And they, on occasion, and they're open about it, it's not every night,
yes,
maybe once or twice a year, they'll smoke weed just to chill out, and they don't have a moral problem with it.
Yeah.
They're not treating it like this is a demon I need to overcome. They're just like, this is just something I do once in a while to chill out.
Yes.
Would you still consider that person a good Christian? If they do everything else right, if they go to church, they study the Bible, they're good to people.
Well, I would consider them very double-minded and in some ways a hypocrite.
Wow. See, this is.
But I wouldn't like tell them that to their face, like, "Oh, you're a hypocrite." Okay. If I needed to be completely outright, I mean, I'm not the kind of person that would be like calling somebody names or I would call them out, but I would do it in a way that would make them think. I wouldn't just say, "Oh, you're a hypocrite, and this is why I think you're a hypocrite." I would just say, "Look, you're partaking in some things that I really have concern over. We need to talk about this." Especially if I was friends with this person and I see them regularly. If I knew that there was something wrong, and especially if I was doing something wrong and a Christian friend of mine wanted to talk to me about that, I wouldn't be happy about it, but I would absolutely talk to them about it and say, "Hey, maybe I should think about this."
Wow. Yeah, see, this is where I don't think I could be a Christian with those types of restrictions.
Well, Bubs, if you become one, if a person becomes one, like I said, it's really not about you anymore.
Oh.
It's not about you anymore.
Oh. Well,
see, if a Christian is letting God work in all aspects of their life, yes, then that means that God, if they let Him, will work in all aspects of their life, including their own thinking.
But one could make the argument that maybe God is using psychedelics or marijuana. So you won't even let me finish the sentence.
I already know where this is going. I already know where this is going.
No, but see, this is what I'm saying. Christians are a little bit closed-minded when it comes to this thing. Conservative Christians.
I don't know necessarily if it should be considered closed-minded, or if there is something that maybe you're missing.
I don't know, babes. I'm just kind of like live and let live. You know that. I mean, I'll tease people and make fun of their beliefs, but at the end of the day, I don't really care that much.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, but that's just me, babes. Do you feel good after this portion of the discussion?
Yeah, I did. I think it was a good discussion.
Is there anything you want to ask me about Christianity?
No. You wouldn't really... You wouldn't be able to answer my questions if I had one.
Okay. I stand by my feeling that for me it's a little bit...
I just thought of something.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to comment because you said something earlier about somebody who struggles with it, with things.
Okay.
My thought is if a person's been struggling with things for 20, 30 years and they haven't taken steps to change some of their behaviors, I would have a talk with them. But I wouldn't do it, I wouldn't do it in a mean way or a spiteful way, or I wouldn't do it in a self-righteous way because it never happened. That never helps. I know what those people do. But I would voice my concern is what I'm trying to say.
Wow. I would voice concern too, but I wouldn't. I don't know, babes.
Even with anybody, Bubs.
Yes.
Even if they weren't a Christian and they're telling you that they're this way, but then they go behind, they go and they do things and they're open about it. But then you're like, well, wait a minute. You told us all this time that you were like this, and why are you being open about this? When or it could be that they're hiding it.
Yeah. See, I
just think that there is a time where sometimes you have to say, hey, I think you have a problem.
Yeah, maybe we should wrap up this part of the discussion so we don't get into the weeds. But
okay.
What I will say is, as you know, I actually do have some conservative Christian friends. And I think the reason I can be friends with these people is because they're open about who they are, right? So I feel like in most Christian circles, it's not that you don't have flaws, but you're forced to suppress them. Whereas the people I hang out with who are conservative Christians, they're open about the fact that they may be into some nefarious activities. And that's why I can hang out with them, is because I don't feel like there's this judgmental vibe.
Okay, so I'm gonna finish off by saying this.
Go ahead.
If you ever have a conversation with your friends about it,
yes,
and ask them, I don't know if they've ever told you about the fruits of the Spirit, or talk about anything that has to do with a fruitful life.
You've talked about that before.
I have?
Yes.
So one of the fruits of the Spirit is temperance, or some people have called it self-control. And the reason why I would be concerned about that is there are some Christians that struggle with self-control with whatever it is. And I understand that. But where I really get concerned is when they are, it's out in the open, but they don't want to change. They don't want to change for themselves rather, to have a better life, because you see that it's falling apart. I'm just saying it's concerning to me.
Oh, well, I still love you, babes.
Okay, I don't know why you keep saying that.
I don't know, okay.
It's like, oh, you're this way, but I still love you. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I don't know, babes. I still love you.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yes.
Oh wait.
But it was a good conversation.
It was. Next topic, please.
Next topic there. Jaylo.
That's right. Ooh. Yes.
Is there anything you want to discuss before I suggest something?
No, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this topic. We'll be talking about this topic in the future, because we've talked about it quite a bit before.
Yeah, but I'm fascinated by it, which is a good thing, I think.
I think it's good to be fascinated with any kind of topic.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, it shows that you've got what do you call it? Your mind is open to thinking differently, I guess.
I'm feeling better today. I didn't even hear you snore last night.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't.
We have to go there. Bubs.
What?
Man, you like to put all of our junk out on the table. And my junk especially out on the table.
I put my junk out there.
I know, but it doesn't mean that I want all my junk out there.
Do you want to say something embarrassing about me?
I can't think of any right now.
Oh.
I'm just, yeah.
Well, I know one thing. I'm so correct that sometimes I make other people feel inferior.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Don't tickle me.
Yes, but you're a very willing target for tickling.
Oh my goodness, you won't.
At least she won't let anybody else do it.
Who else would I let tickle me?
I don't know. Well, they wouldn't, I'm sure.
When you were taking your shower,
Yes.
I noticed, and I've been noticing this for a while, that the plug I use to charge my iPad is really, really hot. So I decided, what if I take it out and I use the plug that I use for my phone? Because I have an Android phone.
Mm-hmm.
And once I removed the wires, switched them, and plugged it in, I didn't have that issue with my Android one.
But you were able to charge it with your Android plug?
Yeah, because I switched the wires.
You switched the, what do you mean?
You can remove the wires at the end of both plugs.
Oh, really?
And they're both, the end that plugs into both plugs is USB-C. Or USB, rather.
Oh, so you can take them apart.
Correct.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you have to show me your plugs.
Yeah. I really think you should get a mobile device, babes. I think you'd really like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. It sounds like somebody needs a kiss.
Oh, I do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But we had a good night's sleep last night.
I was gone. I think I went to bed like after 11. Woke up about 7. Well, I started waking up like after 7:30, but I didn't actually get up until after 8. And then I went back to sleep again, and for about 20 minutes after we were talking, and then I woke up like after 9. I think it was
Something like that.
Yeah.
Babes.
Yes.
We had dinner last night.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I've had toasted bagels before, and I know how to use this toaster. It was a toaster that you let me have.
Yes, and in fairness, my grandparents gave it to me when I moved back to Portland, and I think maybe I've used it once before, because I don't toast a lot of things.
Okay. So I've been trying to figure out the happy medium between the light setting and the dark setting. And there's a little, what do you call this thing? It's like a little thing that you move to the left or to the right, on the toaster, on the side of the toaster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you call it a lever or whatever you call it. But anyway, the more left you go, the lighter the toast is, and the more right you go, the darker the toast is. Well, I thought it would be okay to put it on the darkest setting because I wanted them to be hot and crispy. Not too crispy, but crispy enough. Well, they started, when I was toasting it, they smelled all right. And then I said, they were really, really hot. And I said, I unplugged it. And I said, oh, maybe I should wait till it cools down. Well, the only problem with that is the detector went off, and you put the fan on. It stopped. I took them out, and you're like, oh, babes, they're black.
Okay, so let me give the story from my perspective. I'm getting the fixins ready, and I smell this bagel. The first one's supposed to be for me, and I say, babes, that smells about done. Do you want to pop it up? And you're like, no, Bob, it's not done. And I'm like, are you sure? And you're like, Bobs, I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, Bobs, I know what I'm doing. Okay, this bagel's gonna be fine. I'm like, it smells done now. And you're like, Bobs, okay, I'm gonna deal with it, okay? And I'm like, okay, if you're sure. And then it comes out, it's completely black.
Oh. Well, okay. And I felt really embarrassed.
Yes.
And I apologized profusely.
Yes.
So we took out 2 more bagels, and I thought, okay, rather than put them in the oven because that's going to take a long time, why don't we just put the sandwiches together without toasting them? And they actually turned out really good.
I like them.
We put hummus, pesto, cream cheese, and what else did we put in there?
That was about it.
It tasted
good. We forgot the olives.
We forgot the olives, but it tasted really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the setting in the middle or closer to the left because I don't want to have that happen again. And that was the first time that's happened before. And I remember hearing a story about someone I knew of who was living with her young daughter and another friend of hers. And the friend's house that they were living in caught on fire because one of the ladies took a shower and forgot to take the Pop-Tarts out of the toaster. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want that to happen. And they lost like pretty much everything.
That sucks, babes.
It's horrible. Just because of Pop-Tarts. And I'm like, I don't want to cause a fire just because of bagels.
No.
Oh, that could have been really bad. And that was actually not as bad as what could have happened to the beans because I didn't wet the paper towel and.
Oh, yeah. And you set that on fire. That was a while ago, right?
That was a while ago. That was like a few months ago. And I have since learned my lesson.
That is good, babes.
And I have learned my lesson with the bagels. But I will toast them lighter this time. I will not toast them dark when I make my own bagels.
Well, good.
No.
And when you make mine.
And when I make yours. No, I promise you I will not. I will make sure that does not happen again.
But it was fun, though. Besides for that, I had a good laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave us something to talk about here. I did say, don't worry, babe, it's not the end of the world, but we are going to talk about this tomorrow.
Well, we always end up talking about a lot of stuff. But you said, do you promise to listen to me? I'm like, all right.
Yes.
But in fairness, you've only used this toaster once, too.
Yes, but in fairness, I also said, hey, babes, those smell like those are done. And you said, don't worry, Bubba, I know what I'm doing. Am I correct?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Well, and sooner or later, one of us is going to have a cooking mishap, even if it's a stupid one.
Well, everybody does.
Yeah,
I still have
everybody
them.
does.
And I'm going to have them in the future.
Did I ever tell you the pancake mix story?
No.
Okay. Well, this is back when I was in my early 20s, so...
Okay, go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead, babes.
So, what I did is I forgot to take out a bowl, and I was just learning how to make pancakes, and I accidentally put the ingredients in the actual mix. I didn't take the mix out, put it in the bowl, put some of the bowl, and then put all the other stuff in there.
Oh my goodness.
And then my teacher had to throw out some of the, and I'm like, oh no. Okay, I'll never do that again. So that only happened once.
In fairness, I still don't know how to make pancakes.
Okay.
But breakfast is my weak area.
But I researched on how to make pancakes with Bisquick, and Bisquick is one of the best pancake mixes to use. And I'm thinking that I'm going to do that next week, but I want to make maybe some cinnamon pancakes. I put some cinnamon in my batter. Like, how much cinnamon do you put in your stuff?
Well, I don't make pancakes.
No, not pancakes. I mean, like, if you're putting cinnamon in something, do you use like a couple teaspoons?
Yeah, something like that. I just kind of do it by feel.
Okay.
But I gave you pancake mix literally last weekend, babes.
I did. I don't know if we'll have to look at that because I don't know if there's directions on it. I may use that, or I may buy some extra Bisquick pancakes. But I was thinking about doing an experiment with cinnamon in the batter and a little bit of vanilla, and I was also thinking about making chocolate chip pancakes.
That might be good.
I know how to make mini pancakes, but I don't know how to make them bigger.
I would imagine
Mm-hmm.
you would just like double the recipe.
I suppose make twice as much because usually I would put a fourth of a pancake batter. I probably could just put a whole cup in there, or not a whole cup, but half a cup in there.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Yes.
Now I'm thinking about it.
I'm happy for you, babes. We also had chips with dip last night. That was good.
Oh my goodness, that was so good.
And my water bottle was starting to smell a little bit funky, so you cleaned it out for me.
I did, and I try to what I like to do also is I have this little wash tub basin, and I fill it up with warm to hot water. Put a little bit of dish soap because my dish soap I really like, and I kind of spread it around, and I put my bottle, including the cap, in there and just soak it in the water and soap, and then wash out everything and wash out the bottle 4 to 5 times. I'll do that. I try to wash my bottle as often as I can. Sometimes I forget, but I try to do that because it's hard for us to see it. Sometimes sighted people are able to spot mold when they see it, but it's not always it's not always easy to tell.
Well, if you wash your bottles often enough, you shouldn't have those issues, I don't think.
No. And I'm trying to get back into doing that more often. And I think what I'll do is before you get here,
Yes.
I'll just give it a good wash. I'll get it a good soak.
Good.
And then I'll fill it up and
Because I wash my bottles at home fairly often because I got those bottle scrubber things.
oh, where do you get those, Bubs?
I bought mine off Amazon. They were $12 for a 3-pack.
Oh, do they have them at the store too, or
They might.
bottle scrubbers? What are they? Are they like regular sponge size or?
No, they're sort of like not exactly Brillo pads, but they kind of like a Brillo pad type feel, and there's like a stick sticking out of them, so you use the stick to hold on to it as you put it in your bottle and scrub it, and then you wash it out. So I put a hot water and soap in there, and then I scrub it, and then I dump the water and then clean it out a little bit.
How often are they? How long can you use them?
The scrubbers for?
Yes.
I would assume if you're doing a couple bottles, like a couple times a week, maybe you'd want to change it every month or so. But I got a pack of 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know. I think you told me about that before, but I'm like, bottle scrubbers? I never heard of that. I should have. Why didn't I use it? But I also like to soak it in water and soap as well.
Nice.
But yeah, wow, that's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah, they have a lot of cool things out there.
Wow. I want to check to see if they have bottle scrubbers at the store, just because I want to see if I can find some cheaper.
They might.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
I don't know.
I mean, if they have loofah sponges for your body, they should have bottle scrubbers.
That's right, Joe. Whoa.
I remember when I used to go to PCC, some water fountains have, since we're talking about water, some water fountains have this little thing where you can put, you can fill your bottle up with water.
That's nice.
It is nice.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, cool.
Yes. Babes.
Yes.
We watched some movies last night.
Yes. One of the movies we watched was called A Midsummer Night's Dream. That's one of my favorite Shakespeare. I think it is my favorite Shakespeare comedy, honestly.
Yes.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to give a recap.
Break it
and
down.
I can't give complete details because some of it was a little bit confusing. But I'll try. I'll kind of break it down. I'll just give you the abridged. I'll give the abridged version. So 3 storylines are going on. You've got 2 men named Demetrius and Lysander. They're in love with the same woman whose name is Hermia. And so she is in love with Lysander. And this is, of course, before we are introduced to another woman whose name is Helena. And there is quite a difference in their height, and I'll get to that later on. That's going on first. And then you have these men that are trying to put on a play. I know 2 of them's names are Flute and Bottom. Bottom is the one that is featured in the movie more than those other men. And I can't remember what their names are. But they are trying to create a comic play. And then you have the fairy kingdom who, you have King Oberon, who's a fairy king, his wife, Queen Titania, and their changeling baby. I think she finds a changeling boy and she raises a baby as her own. And we don't see much of the baby in the the movie. So, and then you have Puck, who's a fairy that likes to cause mischief. And he ends up causing a lot of mischief, and he's played by none other than a young Mickey Rooney. And I have to say that he was really good as Puck the Fairy. Would you say?
I liked him, and it was so strange seeing him as a teenager, because by the time I was old enough to know who Mickey Rooney was, he was very old.
He was very old, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have to say, before I go on, did I even mention it here? About seeing him in The Wizard of Oz?
I don't remember if you did or not.
Okay, so I'll say this really quickly. My second trip to DC, I got a chance to go with a group of people to a theater, and I saw The Wizard of Oz with Mickey Rooney playing The Wizard of Oz, and it was really, really good. I don't know if that play was on Broadway. It might have been, but it was like one of my first exposures to musicals, and I really enjoyed it.
We speculate from what we read online last night, or what Miss A told us, that Eartha Kitt might have been in that play too, but you didn't know who she was at the time.
No, I didn't. And I didn't really I wasn't familiar with her.
You didn't know that she was Catwoman, and also her political history, where she called out Richard Nixon at the White House during a breakfast about his involvement with Vietnam. Because Richard Nixon, when he got elected president, promised that he would pull out immediately, but took him a little bit of time. Let's just put it nicely.
She also voiced the cat in the Skippy commercials.
Nice.
At one time. But she was a good actress, and she also sang the original Santa Baby.
Had some rectal issues.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's colon.
She died of colon cancer.
Colon cancer. Anyway, it's pretty bad. But anyway, I think she was also in a Disney movie called Oliver and Company.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, enough Eartha Kitt trivia.
Yeah, rest in peace, Eartha Kitt.
Rest in peace.
Or
I don't know if she is. Anyway, so Puck is very, very excited to create quite a mess. And so Lysander and Hermia are talking, and I think they're about ready to go to sleep. Hermia tells him to make his bed afar off, because this is back in Shakespeare's day. Mm-hmm. Make your bed far off. They are sleeping, and I believe that somehow Helena gets into the mix, and I can't remember how that happens, but all three of them are asleep. And I think Demetrius was too. Anyway, so Puck starts with them, and there's a flower called the Love and Idleness flower. And he takes a juice and puts them over their eyes, because that is supposed to make them fall in love with the first person they see. Lysander leaves after he wakes up, because the first person he sees is Helena. Lysander is no longer in love with Hermia. Hermia is trying to find Lysander. In the midst of all this, Puck is making fun of her. Lysander! Anyway, it's a pretty funny scene. She's very upset. Helena thinks that Lysander's in love with her. I don't remember where Demetrius is. But then you've got the other men. He puts the same, something happens to where, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's not it. Something happens in the play to where, Bottom is chosen to wear an ass's head. And yes, I said ass.
We were having a great conversation.
It's
during this movie. Hold on, babes. And I said, this made you laugh. I said, well, babes, I really want to take you around somebody who has a cat that smells bad. Just so I can hear you say, man, that's one stinky pussy. And you're laughing now, but trying to be quiet about it.
Oh, that's so bad.
And I also said, I really want to bring you around some dogs who are messing around so you can say, oh, those bitches won't stop.
Oh, jeez. That's not quite as funny.
No, the stinky pussy thing is a lot funnier.
Okay. Whoops.
What?
That's terrible.
That's why you're laughing so hard, babe.
I don't even know why. You see, Christians have a good sense of humor too,
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh my goodness.
I have a better sense of humor.
Oh my goodness. I got your chin.
Oh my goodness.
I got your nose.
Nose.
Okay.
Nose. Nose.
All right.
Could a Christian laugh at Dave Chappelle?
Huh?
Do you know any Christians who think that Dave Chappelle is funny?
I don't know, but that doesn't mean there aren't. But I think we're getting off topic here.
We are, and I blame you. So get us back on, babes.
All right. Okay, so Bottom ends up wearing this head, and he puts a spell on him and Queen Titania. Titania is Oberon's wife. They end up falling asleep in their respective places. She wakes up and is completely in love with Bottom, and she's even in love with his singing, and they're in love for a time, and of course Oberon finds out about this later, but we'll get to him. So then he puts a spell on them, and then he puts a spell on, I believe he puts a spell on Demetrius. So Demetrius ends up in the mix, and they're both, him and Lysander, are in love with Helena, not Hermia. Helena and Hermia get into a catfight of sorts because one is short and one is tall. Hermia says, well, I'm short enough to poke you in the eye. And she said, yeah, well, if you're running away, I can run away faster. I kind of thought their argument was pretty funny. And as this was going on, one of my favorite lines in the play that Puck says is, "What fools these mortals be," and they were fools to him. And I just thought he was so funny. He was very animated. Wasn't there one time where he grabbed onto one of the ladies' dresses?
That was near the end of this portion of the movie.
Right. Okay.
Before they go and watch it.
Oh, and then the spell was on Demetrius before the end of the movie as well. And so they were all falling in love with Helena. Helena's trying to run away from them. Hermia is very much upset. And Oberon's upset because his queen is in love with Bottom. So they end up falling asleep. Puck puts a sleeping spell on all of them. So the two women, the two men, and then Bottom and Titania. They all go to sleep. And Oberon says a spell on them and tells Puck that, okay, you put a sleeping spell on them. I'm going to wake them up, and they are going to think that all that was going on was a dream. So while they're sleeping, and I actually like this part because the way that he was saying that waking spell, it reminded me of him telling a story. I thought that was really cool. Yes. So he said, "Awake, awake." I can't do it as good as him. So they all wake up in their respective places. Bottom believes that he did have a dream, and so he decides that he's going to tell the writer of the play, I'm going to tell him to write a play based on my dream. That's what I'm going to do. And he's just having fun with this and just laughing because he believes it was a dream. The two men and the two women find out that they had a dream. The fairies, and before they wake up, the fairies are commencing. I'm not sure what they're doing. I guess they're having their dance or whatever. And I don't believe the humans run into the fairy commotion or any of the or Puck, but they the men go into this play and the audience is having a good time, and I wasn't sure about this part, but they did the play and Puck was in the audience, and at the end of the play, I think Puck recites a rhyme saying that we all basically, I think it was like,
think if these spirits have offended, think but this and all is mended.
Yes.
That you have slumbered here for a while. And then he goes on, but that's the beginning of it. And it's basically saying, hey, if you're offended, bro, just think of this as a dream. Yeah.
It's basically a dream. But I liked how he said it. And you quoted it better than I did.
Thank you.
Isn't the same play where it says to sleep perchance to dream? I think it is.
Maybe.
I don't remember. But I think in the play there are some things in the movie that were actually not in the play, or that were altered to be in the movie. So I liked it. It was good to watch it because it kind of jogged my memory about what happened in the play, and I really enjoyed reading the play. So I gave it a strong 7, but you gave it a 6 because you couldn't follow it.
I understand English. Sorry.
Wow.
No, that was my attempt at doing a Southern.
Oh my
person.
goodness.
No, I liked it, but I don't have as much experience with the King's English rather as you do, and so in that sense, it's hard for me to follow. I read A Midsummer Night's Dream back in probably 1996. This was around the time that the Leonardo DiCaprio, Claire Danes version of Romeo and Juliet came out. Yeah. Because, coincidentally, we were preparing to do scenes from Shakespeare's plays. Yes. So we had to read a lot about him and his work. Or we had to read a lot of his work, rather. But I haven't really revisited him since then, besides for reading the sonnets, which I do enjoy.
Yes.
This was good. But yes, it was hard for me to follow. I wonder, though, watching this movie, what must have that been like to see this when it was first released?
I know. I don't know. I mean, when did Shakespeare die?
He died in, I want to say 1610.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of the movie version. But let's take it both ways. So the movie comes out in 1935. Our country is in the middle of a depression.
Yes.
I imagine this was fun relief for a lot of people because they could go and relax and just watch the play. And
this is also the same era where jazz was really popular. Early jazz. Or
yeah, the acting in this movie is really good.
Yes, yes.
I enjoyed that.
I thought they picked a really good Puck. And you explained to me that Mickey Rooney broke his leg in the movie?
Not in the movie, but while he was shooting it, I want to say he had a rafting accident and broke his leg. Ouch. And so they had to be creative with showing him on screen.
Yeah. Well, in the movie, I thought he was 12 because his voice was still high. And you said that he was small. He was small anyway.
Yes.
And he was a smaller man when he grew older, right?
Correct.
Okay. No, I enjoyed it a little bit more than you did, and I thought it was pretty funny. You thought it was funny too, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. The acting was great.
Yes.
So I gave it a strong 7. You gave it a 6. It's okay. I still love you.
I gave it a strong 6, and a lot of that is, it's not me saying it's a bad movie because 6 is better than 5, but also 2, if I had more experience with the King's English, it probably would have gotten a higher score. So that's a thing on me.
Understood. Here's a question.
Go ahead.
After watching this movie, are you interested in reading more Shakespeare stuff? Or not really? Not
really. It doesn't mean that won't change, but at the moment, I don't really feel the need to.
Because there's some really good comedies. I read a comedy called Twelfth Night. I only read it one time and I really enjoyed it. That's a good one. I did read Hamlet, Macbeth, and King Lear. We read a lot of Shakespeare plays when I was in my Shakespeare class, but they were so depressing. Those tragedies were just really depressing. The most depressing one I read was King Lear. I hope I never read it again because it was really depressing.
If you wanted to revisit Shakespeare, I'd do it with you.
Okay.
Yes.
I was thinking about revisiting it because I liked how the play is. When I read it in Braille, where they would say like stage right or enter such and such on stage, and then it says, for example, one of the characters in Macbeth is Duncan, and it says Duncan : blah blah blah, and it says what he says, or Macduff is another character, or Lady Macbeth. That was cool. I mean, that's what I did when I read. How it was set up when I read The Crucible, and as you know, it's also a play.
Yes, but the movie was boring of The Crucible.
I would recommend that you read the actual play because
I might do that.
That's really good.
I need to read more plays.
That is a really good
I could
play.
probably find it on YouTube.
The Crucible?
Yeah.
Oh, the actual play.
Yes.
It's really good. And I also read The Taming of the Shrew, which I wanted to show you, which is a shorter comedy, but it's really good too. That is that movie 10 Things I Hate About You.
You know what? I haven't watched it from beginning to end, but I am familiar with it.
I liked it. That's based on The Taming of the Shrew.
Nice.
Yes. Except in The Taming of the Shrew, their names are Kate and Bianca. I
just burped.
Oh, excuse you.
Sorry, keep going.
And in 10 Things I Hate About You, it's Kat and Bianca. Also, I remember seeing a local production in Portland when I was in high school called Kiss Me Kate, and that was based on The Taming of the Shrew as well.
As I get older, I really regret not going to Ashland for the Shakespeare Festival.
That's close to Medford, isn't it?
And I'm, you know how I am with directions. I'm gonna say yes, but
I did see a podcast that was based.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah,
but one of my teachers was saying you really should go and see this, and she was trying to push me to go, but I didn't want to do it, and I regret that now. And also I had a thing with a girl, so that was something.
Yeah.
I think this was the weekend. Oh, you don't like hearing my old stories, so
not really.
But
no, I don't really need to hear about your past escapades.
Let's just say I did have a good time that weekend.
I'm sure you did.
Yes. Yes, you did. Well,
I'm sure you did.
Oh. In any event, Jaylo.
Yes.
What do you think it was like for somebody going to the Globe Theater when this play premiered?
I'm sure it was. Well, you said that because they were going through our country was going through a depression. At the time.
When the play premiered.
When the play premiered?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that must have been a big event, I would imagine. Can you imagine, like, saying, oh, I want to go to and of course this is going to be in the old King's English. I want to go to the new Shakespeare play that's being performed. Isn't that cool?
That must have been
That
cool.
would have been awesome.
But they may not have appreciated it on the same level. So, yeah, it's cool they got to see Shakespeare play when it was first performed.
Yes.
However, they didn't have the knowledge to know what Shakespeare would grow to represent past his death. You know. Yes.
Yes, but it was so fun taking turns reading parts for the play, and I had my part in front of me, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad, babes.
I also did I tell you that we had to write our own scenes for a play that we were doing called Macbeth.
I don't remember you saying that.
And I didn't do it. I remember I wrote a part and I didn't do a very good job because one of the guys that was reading my part was saying, "Who wrote this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that wasn't good. Okay, that was me. I didn't admit it, but I was like, "Ooh, that was bad. That was really bad." But granted, I was only 18 years old, so I didn't have a lot of experience in writing alternative versions to scenes and plays.
Did I tell you? I mean, I told you that we went to see Romeo and Juliet,
Yes.
and our teacher wanted everybody in the class to write a review.
Mm-hmm.
And our teacher decided to read some of these reviews in the classroom, and every review is glowing.
Yeah.
This is an incredible movie. This is so creative.
Yes.
I love this film. It couldn't be better. Until you get to my review, which is basically just trashing the movie.
Did she ask you why? Or did you?
Oh, it was pretty clear in the review.
Oh.
It was pretty clear.
Okay. So was she like, oh, okay, wow, this one isn't very glowing.
Well, she was okay with it. I think the rest of the class had an issue with it.
They probably
because
were
it was
like,
just so negative.
Did anybody in the class talk to you afterwards? Or were they like, ugh?
No, but you could tell people weren't exactly.
There was some tension. You created tension.
Yes.
You're like, wow, you're the only person that didn't like it. Was it the last one she read?
I don't think it was the last one.
Oh wow!
But it was a couple reviews into it.
So, what did you have to rate it too?
Yeah, I think I gave it a pretty low rating. There's only a few things in it that I enjoyed.
Did you do it like Siskel and Ebert style, where you say I give it a mild 2 thumbs up?
I don't think so. I think it was more like a 1 to 10 thing, if I remember correctly.
I'm guessing you probably gave it a 3, right?
3 or 4.
Wow. So. What were they? Okay, what did they like about it? The people that gave it a glowing review.
They liked the acting.
Uh-huh.
They thought the setting in the modern day was cool. They liked that, despite that, it still stayed true to the original story. I'm going off of a 25-year-old memory now.
Okay.
But as far as I remember, that's what it was.
I mean, the only thing that it stayed true to, because I mean, granted, I wasn't able to see it, but the only thing that it stayed true to was their quotations, how it was quoted.
No, there's a little bit more than that.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I might have been too harsh in my review, but I was also, you know how I like to say things to get at people.
Of course.
You know, so it's possible I did a little bit of that in the review. And I was also younger and more cynical.
You were a lot more younger and dumber.
And more cynical.
Yeah.
Young, dumb, and full of gum.
And immature as all get out.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, young and dumb and full of gum. I like that.
And gum.
Ugh.
What?
Gum. I said gum.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
Okay. Is cum considered a swear word?
Well, yeah, if you consider the context.
Why?
If it's not spelled C-O-M-E and it's a slang for he-man.
Why is it? Then I was young, dumb, and full of semen. But that doesn't rhyme as well.
Bubs.
What?
Stop it now.
So, I was new, true, and full of goo.
Oh.
How about that?
Oh, I hate whatevs. Whatevs. Oh boy.
Sorry, babes. I made myself laugh.
You are a handful, you know that?
But I'm good. I make your life better.
You're like 5 handfuls in one, actually.
Oh my goodness. Don't I improve your life?
In some ways you do.
Yes.
Not every aspect, but... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, good.
No, I love you, Bubs.
Good. I love you too, babes.
I love you, Bubs.
Yes,
Boy.
Good.
I know I joke, but... no, I do love this man.
Nice. Very good.
But anyway, yeah, that's interesting. What I didn't understand about the movie, and I'm going to finish it off by saying this.
Go ahead.
What I didn't like, one of the things I didn't like about that modern day Romeo and Juliet is why they used guns at the end. I just never got that.
Yeah, I think we may have talked about it before, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I just didn't get it.
Very good.
Anywho, enough about what should be modern and what shouldn't be modern.
Let's talk about another movie, unless there's anything else you want to say about A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I don't. I liked it. I think that if you want to get more of the details of the story, you should definitely read the play because it's really funny and really, really fun to read.
Yes.
So I got to clarify this before we go to the second movie.
Tell me.
I thought that I actually saw the movie. I didn't. I heard an abridged version on a cassette tape back in the early 2000s, and they weren't even played. In the audio, the people that were playing the parts weren't even the real people. They weren't the real actors. So I was mistaken. And it was a good thing that I didn't say that I realized that, because this movie really put more details in it that wasn't in the audio story.
That's fair.
Yes.
This movie, A Streetcar Named Desire, the version we watched, came out in 1951.
With Vivian Leigh as Blanche Dubois.
And Marlon Brando as Stanley Kowalski.
Yes, I forgot what the person who the lady was who played Stella.
But she's in it too.
Stella! Anyway.
Okay, so it starts off, Vivian Leigh gets to town and she's talking to the sailor looking for a streetcar named Desire. Mm-hmm. She goes to where her sister is, I want to say, working. They talk, and she says, well, you'll get to meet my husband Stanley later. He's a really cool guy, but let me show you the apartment. They go
to a diner first.
They go to a diner first, but I thought I wasn't giving every detail.
Oh, wait, okay, don't give every detail.
Okay. Get to the apartment, and there's this curtain separating the two bedrooms, because they're poor, and it's the 50s, and everybody...
And it looks different.
Didn't have money back then.
Yes.
Talking about life, and... Blanche explains, I lost the family farm.
The house.
Yes.
It's called Bill Reeve.
Right. And Bill Reeve is gone. Stella?
Bill Reeve is lost.
We should say that Blanche is the younger sister who needs to be taken care of.
Well, she still kind of treats Stella like a baby sister, even though Stella's the older one and more stable.
Correct, but Blanche does need to be taken care of, yes. Or else she wouldn't be here.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Stanley eventually comes home, and we can tell that he's a little bit less intellectual.
He's definitely a hothead.
Yes.
He's definitely a hothead. You can tell that he's from the mean streets of New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's talking with Blanche. Blanche goes to do her thing. And Stella comes in and explains, Del Reeve is lost.
Yes, Bill Reeve is lost, and we don't know what happened.
Right. Marlon Brando says, well, there's this thing where I'm from called the Napoleon whatever it is. And it basically says that a man has full right to his...
I think it's like the Napoleon Code or something, or whatever.
Okay, I for some reason I thought I was giving the overview.
I'm sorry, Bubs.
That's okay, babe.
I'm sorry.
And a man is entitled to whatever his wife has.
Yeah.
And I'm going to explain the Napoleon overview to your sister when she comes in the room. But first, let's look through her shit. So he starts throwing out dresses, and they find some papers.
And she's trying to stop him.
Yes.
And saying, "What are you doing? That's her stuff. Don't look at her stuff." I mean, and she's very appalled at what's happening.
Stella comes out of the bathroom. We're led to believe that she was taking a bath. Mm-hmm. And they kind of get into it. Not Stella, Blanche comes out. And yes. She tells Stella, go get me a Coke. She's talking with Marlon Brando. He's asking her all these questions. And then he lets loose that Stella is preggers.
Yeah.
And gonna pop out a kid at some point in the future.
And then Stella comes in. She goes and talks to Stella and says, "Hey, Stella, I was really I'm sorry, but I was flirting with your husband, and I only did it once, and I forgot what you said. Like that's all I did. I didn't do anything else."
Okay, the girls have to leave eventually. I think it's like the next day or maybe that night because of a card game.
Yes.
Marlon Brando's hanging out with the guys. Girls come back, but they go into another room that's just, again, separated by a curtain. They start talking, they put on some music, and then a big fight breaks out. Stella, along with Blanche, end up going to the next door neighbor's house, and that's when you hear that infamous line where Marlon Brando goes to the bottom of the apartment building and yells out, "Hey, Stella!"
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
And because he obviously is very drunk. Stella doesn't want him in the house. And that's why he's like, Stella
doesn't want to stay in there either.
Sarah doesn't want to stay in there, so she goes to the next door neighbor's house with Blanche.
Yes. Time passes by. At the party, or the pre-fight,
Yeah.
Blanche met a friend of Marlon Brando's named
Harold Mitchell, but they call him Mitch.
Okay. Mitch and Blanche start dating. Things are going good. They're enjoying each other's company. Time goes by. Everything is fine. Except that Stanley starts researching Blanche's past and finds out that she's a little bit loose.
She's very loose and
has had fun with a lot of guys.
And he thinks that she knows something about the Flamingo Hotel.
No, she thinks that she
thinks
at the Flamingo Hotel.
That she's staying at the Flamingo.
That she stayed there.
Yeah.
And the Flamingo Hotel is a place for, it sounds like ladies of the night, even though it's not specifically said.
Right.
And if it was, we were distracted, maybe making out and doing some other stuff. Okay. Like good Christians.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Getting back to the movie.
I gotta do this. Hold on.
Oh, boy, you squeeze my nose.
Nose. Yes.
Eventually, we hear that Mitch wants to propose to your girl,
Blanche.
Blanche.
Yep.
And Blanche is like, I'm gonna live a life. It's way. It's gonna be fun.
Yes.
But then Marlon Brando tells Mitch, basically, bro, your girl is a little bit loose.
You gotta watch out for this one.
Yeah. And at first, Mitch is upset, but Brando gives him the contact information for people who kind of know Blanche in a more intimate way.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
He goes back to the house, explains this to Stella, says that he had to tell Mitch because they served in the war together. And by the way, they're still really good friends.
And Stella, of course, is very much against it. And she's like, don't tell her. Don't, you can't do this to her. She's my sister.
Yes. So they have their dinner and
he breaks all the dishes.
Breaks a lot of the dishes. I don't know about all of them.
He breaks a lot of the dishes when they're trying to have a nice dinner. Blanche is trying to tell them a funny story, but Stella's like, could you please clean off the table? And he breaks his dishes, their dishes, I think, or tries to break all of them. And he says, all right, do you want me to break yours?
Okay. I believe this is also Blanche's birthday. And Marlon Brando...
Oh, yes, that's right, it is.
Being the man that he is, we're going to talk about butter after this movie.
Oh, man.
But we'll get there when we get there.
That's going to be our side note.
Yes. Decides that he needs to buy his sister-in-law a present. Something that she'll never forget. Basically, it's tickets out of town. And the train leaves next Tuesday.
Yes.
So, she leaves the room upset. Stella and Stanley get into an argument. He kind of pushes her, and then she says, I need to go to the hospital. They leave.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, is this when the lady with the person with the flowers comes over and is trying to sell flowers?
Not quite. We're getting there, babes.
All right.
A little bit of time goes by. Mitch comes over drunk. He explains, I know about your past. Stanley told me all about it. I didn't want to believe you. And I think I was going to marry you.
I don't want to marry you now.
They have this dispute. The lady with these flowers comes over for dead people. She closes the door.
She's like, no, not now.
Yeah. Okay. He leaves. Sometime later, Stanley comes home and explains that the baby is going to be born the next day. And he's kind of excited. And one thing leads to another. He ends up raping Vivian Lee.
Yeah, because it's a very short scene when it actually happens.
Yeah, his character does, and we don't actually see the rape, but it's highly implied.
Right.
Okay. Next thing we know, your girl Stella popped out a kid. And now it's the four of them living together, but Marlon Brando is playing cards. Stella is talking to, I want to say, their upstairs neighbor about how Blanche hasn't been the same, and when she gets out of the shower, you should compliment her on her looks.
And Blanche is asking Stella, hey Stella, do you have a towel? And could you get this for me, please? And she is So Blanche believes that she's going to go on this cruise. That she's supposed to meet this gentleman and they're supposed to go on a cruise.
Who is like supposedly super rich.
Right.
But that doesn't happen because there's a knock at the door. Your buddy Stanley decided to call the funny farm on Stella. They come in
on Blanche.
On Blanche, rather.
Yeah.
They enter the house.
She and at this point, Blanche doesn't know what's going on.
Yes, there's a little bit of a struggle, and they end up taking her away. There's, I think Stanley like slaps Blanche, and she goes, grabs the baby, and says something about
I think he slaps Stella.
Okay, stop Stella.
And she grabs the baby and says, "Don't you ever touch me again."
No, she grabs the baby and says, "I think this is the last time." For some reason, I thought I was giving the recap of this movie.
Well, there were some things you missed.
Okay.
Remember before she goes, and I have to remember to remind you about this. Remember where she goes before she goes, and she forgets something. Stanley says, "Hey Blanche, did you forget all of this?" And he's talking about the perfume bottles and everything. And then everybody in the room looks at him and he's like, "What? I never touched her once."
Yeah.
And they figured out that he raped her.
Stella runs upstairs with the kid, and the movie ends with Brando just saying, "Hey, Stella."
And she leaves, Stella leaves never to come back.
Well, who knows?
Who knows?
But the movie ends there.
So.
At first, it was hard for me to get into this movie because I felt that there was a little bit too much overacting. Mm-hmm. And I thought, why would these characters stay around each other? And then at the dinner, so I didn't really like the movie. I was going to give it a negative review. But at the dinner scene, when Marlon Brando throws the dishes, I realized why this is a good movie or how to look at it and it being good.
Oh, really?
And for me, I like it if I look at this film as this is a movie about three people who choose to live together and torture each other. This is like a low-budget horror movie from the 1950s about three people who torture each other. Right. And then I liked it.
I believe this might have been a play.
It was. Because we decided to do a play weekend. You wanted to do one.
Yes. I don't know who wrote it, but anyway,
Tennessee Williams wrote it.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
And Elia Kazan directed the play version. And the movie.
Yes. And I gave it a week 7 because I wasn't sure about Vivian Lee overacting, although I think she talked a lot too much. She may have been overacting, but I will take your word on it. It didn't seem like overacting to me, but what do I know? This is the first Vivian Lee movie I saw. So, I don't know. But, I thought the woman who played Stella was good. I also wasn't sure why the matron was there. And you don't know what her name is. She's just called the matron.
Wasn't that Mitch's mom?
No, Mitch's mom was sick.
Okay.
That wasn't her. That was just the matron that was watching over the guys, and she was the one that made spaghetti.
I thought that was either Mitch's mom or one of the guys' wives.
It might have been one of the guys' wives, but she's called the matron, apparently.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what her name is, but she was looking after the girls and looking after the guys. Anyway, it was disturbing finding out that Stanley raped his sister-in-law, and I don't know why. I don't know why that was even in the play, and I just thought he was a drunken hothead, and I didn't like his character, but I will say that Marlon Brando was really good.
He was.
He was good. And you said he was nominated for an Oscar?
I believe so.
Wow.
Yes. Let's do a little bit of character analysis.
Okay.
Or, I guess, mix in with questions, right? So,
yes.
A question I would have for you is, do you believe that Stanley and Stella get back together again?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Okay, we disagree on that.
Okay, explain to me why you disagree on that. Because I know that she took him back the first time.
why wouldn't she go back to him the second time? Okay, yes, you can make the argument. She knows now that he raped her sister. But he was also violent before that happened, and she's gone back to him before.
Well, I think that maybe she had enough, and she said, I'm not going to raise my... I'm not sure if the baby was a girl or not.
They had a son. Marlon Brando son.
I'm guessing that she realizes, I'm not going to raise my baby around this environment, and I'm not going to... I don't want my son to turn out like his father.
What kind of father is Stanley?
I don't... It's possible that he may not have been connected with his son, and because it didn't seem like he had a real connection with his wife. He was just... He was too busy getting drunk, or too busy wanting to fight his friends, too busy wanting to play cards. He grew up on the rough streets of New York, it seems like.
I thought it was Virginia, but I could...
Was it Virginia? I don't know.
Well, the movies, I think it's based in New York, but I don't think that's where he's from originally.
In the movie?
Yes, because he said something about being from the South. I want to say he said Virginia, but I could have that wrong.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that part, so you must have caught it. But it seemed like he would have. He was a guy from New York, but maybe that's where he's from originally. Anyway, he just seemed very rough. He didn't seem like a very loving person. He only seemed loving when he thought that he was going to lose Stella, and how he's saying like, "Don't you remember the times when, we didn't have to have these curtains, and your sister couldn't hear us, and we laughed a lot, and we had an actual marriage, and don't you think it would be better if she was gone?" Thinking, not really taking care of the real problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like the real problem was his alcoholism and abusiveness.
The film is based in 1951.
Yeah.
Do you think that Stanley is still alive today, and maybe he's like 100, or did he die?
No, I think he probably died.
When do you think he died?
Maybe 1961.
You think he lives another 10 years?
Or maybe even 1956.
Okay.
Is that more realistic?
Well, I'm asking you your thoughts.
Between 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
I don't think he's alive to see his son grow up.
Mm.
Because of how he was.
What do you think happens with Blanche?
Well, I think she stays in that mental institution for a time, but maybe she's incompetent to take care of herself. She seems like she could, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, she has the pretty dresses, and she acts like a debutante, like she's been around the world, and she's done a lot of interesting things, but she's also a flirt and a tease. And maybe that has clouded her judgment. And the fact that she was raped by her brother-in-law may not have helped with her craziness, if she was crazy already. So maybe at that time in the 1950s, that she would probably be unable to take care of herself.
We've established that you and I disagree on whether or not Stella took Stanley back. But the question I'm asking is from your perspective. What do you think happens to Stella after she leaves?
I think I'm guessing maybe she moves in with the matron and decides to start a life, to live with the matron for a while before she's able to get on her feet. Or maybe she decides to move back to, I think it was New Orleans, where they're from, and decides to raise the child in the place where she grew up.
Do you think Stanley ever sees his son after this day?
I don't think so. I don't think he's even alive to see his son.
But if he lives another 5 to 10 years,
maybe he tries, but Stella says no.
Oh,
and says, "I don't want you to hurt my son."
Why do you think Stanley is like this? One of the reasons I bring that up is, when this movie was made, people used the term shell shock. And now we use, I guess what is considered a more PC term, PTSD. We know that Stanley went to the war. Mm-hmm. Do you think he was a good person who war changed? Or do you think that he was a heightened his negative qualities.
It's possible that he may have been nicer before the war, because you hear stories about men and even women having PTSD when they come out of the war. And I don't know that PTSD is a PC term. I think it's an actual disorder.
Right, but what I'm saying is we used to use the term shell shock, and now we call it PTSD.
Yes. So I think it's possible that maybe the war has changed him for the worse, and he has been psychologically damaged by it. Or it's possible that he was a jerk before the war, and the war just aggravated his jerkiness. I don't know. But it's possible. It's definitely possible that he could have changed after the war.
Do you think Stanley came from a good family?
It's possible he did. We don't know much about his family.
Do you think Mitch regrets being so cruel to Blanche?
Maybe he does. I mean, I maybe he does, because you said that when he saw her leave, he just looked really shocked. Was he sad? Did he look sad?
I mean, I imagine that he wasn't very happy. He probably didn't go out that night with Stanley and celebrate and exchange notes on Blanche.
Right. I would imagine that he did regret it, because it seemed in the beginning of the movie that he was very compassionate because he was taking care of his mother, and he didn't seem like the other men. He actually seemed a lot nicer than Stanley, and he just didn't seem like any of the other guys, and he seemed very polite.
Do you think that the reason Mitch is friends with Stanley is just because they went through the war? Like, if they, let's say, I mean, we know that that's why they know each other, but let's say they had met each other in the 40s, just, I don't know, working at an ice cream shop.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they would have developed such a strong friendship?
I don't think so. Maybe he is either afraid of Stanley, or maybe it's because, well, Stanley took him under his wing, and he is indebted to him. What do you think? That's
possible. Mitch was also kind of mean to Blanche that night when he comes to the house.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Well, that's what I mean.
But
yes.
He could regret that.
He could regret it. Why do you think that Stella would take Stanley back?
Because she's taken him back before when he's been violent. And I understand it's different this time, but people make excuses, and she has a kid now to support. And this was back in the day where I wasn't alive in the 1950s.
Neither was I.
Right. So I don't want to say that rape was a good thing or everybody did it.
Or that it was accepted.
Right, but there was less taboo on it than there is now, as far as I understand. When it came to a man raping a woman.
It wasn't talked about.
It wasn't talked about. It wasn't, like, if you notice, nobody at that party said, we got to call the police.
Yes, they didn't say that. And they didn't do anything about, Stanley's.
Go ahead.
They didn't do, I mean, they probably noticed that Stanley had a huge problem with alcohol.
Right, but they also didn't do anything about stopping the doctors from taking Blanche away.
Right, exactly.
So that's why I think there's a chance that she came back to him. Yes. But who knows?
Who knows?
Yes.
We'll never know.
Do you have any more questions about the movie?
I was going to make a comment because I think, if I'm not mistaken, so I'm a big fan of the Golden Girls.
Yes.
And Blanche Devereaux, who was played by Rue McClanahan, I think that her character may have been based on Blanche Dubois.
That's possible. I don't know.
Because Blanche Dubois was very vain, as you know. She was kind of, in some ways she was kind of self-centered, if you think about it, right? Mm-hmm. She made herself seem like a debutante. She said she was younger than what she really was because Mitch turned on the light and said, I'm okay with me finding out that you're older than what you really are, because she wanted to hide it from Mitch.
Yeah.
She was vain, and that's what Blanche Devereaux would do when she would find dates, that she would pretend like she was much younger than what she really was, and that she was just completely vain. And I think that may have been based on Blanche Dubois' character.
I don't know. It's possible.
It's possible.
Yes. Should we talk about Marlon Brando?
Yes, why not? It's really disturbing to me.
Yesterday, after we did this, we were talking about him, and I said, you had asked, were there any controversies in his life? And I said there were many. There was his son killed I want to say, boyfriend of Marlon Brando's daughter.
It's really, really sad.
And then I think the daughter ended up committing suicide a couple years later. I want to say I have that story right, but you're hearing Rick speak, which means I don't want to be sued, so we're going to say I think I heard it that way.
Was it true that he had to come out and say that because his son killed his daughter's boyfriend, that he regrets that he may have been a bad father?
He had to testify in court, and he said something to that effect, yes.
Wow, okay.
And there was a story of him protesting the Oscars and doing it behind the veneer of, I'm doing this to support Native American rights, which I think people should support the rights of Native Americans, but I don't see how turning down your Oscar does that. And I don't see how sending a young lady out there to get booed by everybody.
Right.
And just saying, well, she's Native American, she can handle it.
She can handle it, yeah.
Like, why not go there yourself and say that?
Do you think it's a sign that he was doing some kind of, I know we call it virtual signaling?
I was just going to say, that's what it feels like to me when I read that story.
Because now we hear the term virtual signaling, and when you explained it, I thought, you know what, you're right. That is virtual signaling.
Also, I've heard that Marlon Brando, after rejecting the Oscar, supposedly wanted the Oscar committee to give that Oscar back to him.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, come on, dude.
So who was the lady that was sent to take the Oscar on his behalf?
I might be getting her name right. I hope I'm not. I think her name was Shawseen Littlefeather.
Wow.
And she was booed throughout the speech.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, that's just not. That whole thing that you just told me just seems. There's something wrong about that. Yeah. But I mean, this happened a long time ago. Right.
There was another controversy around that time.
Yes.
With the Oscar, not with the Oscars, but around the time of the Oscar thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Marlon Brando made a movie called Last Tango in Paris. I told you that I heard he raped an actress on the set of that movie, but I wasn't completely sure.
Like for real.
For real. We Googled it. And it's probably technically not rape, but it's as close as you can get to it. And there's an argument to be made that it was actual rape. There was an actress, and I can't pronounce her name.
Okay. Do you know what her first name is?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but we read it yesterday.
Yeah.
And she was anally penetrated with a stick of butter in the movie. Now, for full clarification, I've not seen Lost Tango in Paris, but I've heard about it. According to her, and now according to the director, she was given little warning and pretty much forcefully convinced to do the scene.
Yeah,
with the butter.
And it was said that the butter was supposed to be like this lubricant, which is really disturbing to me. Mm-hmm. Really disturbing.
And I never, after that, in the 90s, babes, I never liked the I can't believe they're not This Isn't Butter commercials of Marlon Brando and her made together.
Or wah, wah, wah.
Don't tickle me, please. I can't believe it's not butter.
Oh, sorry, no.
Babes. But I like to make off-color jokes.
I heard. Can I mention this Yo Mama joke I heard a long time ago?
Go ahead.
Yo Mama's teeth is so yellow, I can't believe it's not butter.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, anyway.
In any event.
That wasn't that great a joke, but I thought it was funny at the time.
We read about it. It's a little bit ambiguous, but there's an argument to... I'm saying she wasn't raped on the set of the movie. There's a good argument to be made that she was. So, me saying it isn't me saying I know for sure. It's me saying that's where I stand after reading that stuff yesterday, and I'm not at all married to that view. Yeah. But it definitely...
It sounded pretty controversial. I mean, especially since even at that time in the 70s, it was given an NC-17 rating.
Yeah, but it definitely doesn't make Marlon Brando look good at all.
No, that's awful.
Right.
And I'm thinking, if he really did it, why wasn't he held accountable for it? And didn't it say something like she came out years later and saying that she was traumatized?
Couple of
because
things. One, it was done in the 70s. Women had less rights back then.
Yeah.
2, it wasn't made in this country. And 3, I don't think that she spoke publicly about the situation until 2011. And Marlon Brando died in 2004.
Wow.
And she ended up dying I believe, in 2013.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's, because didn't the director come out in 2013 and talk about that?
He did, and he gave 2 different interviews that were kind of contradictory. And if you Google about it, there's an article that we didn't really read, but we saw the headline. So, and articles can be misleading,
Yes.
just like headlines.
Yes.
And it said, director of Last Tango in Paris admits that this actress was raped by Marlon Brando.
Wow. And he didn't do anything about it.
Well, he encouraged it, if anything. Right?
That's
the impression I got.
That's terrible.
That the director encouraged it.
So if it was really rape, then he was an accomplice.
If it wasn't rape, it was very much on the line.
Very close, yeah.
Yes.
That's horrible.
Yes, babes.
I don't think we're going to see that movie anytime soon.
No, it sucks because it was one of your favorite films before yesterday.
Whatevs.
No, you haven't seen it.
I never saw it.
You never even heard of Last Tango.
I never even heard about it until you mentioned it.
Oh my goodness.
And being that you said that the premise was he was supposed to treat this lady in Paris like a sex object, I'm thinking, no, that doesn't sound good.
Yes, babes.
Doesn't make him look good at all. But no. Brando's dead now.
He was a crazy motherfucker, but he did some interesting acting stuff.
Okay.
Crazy mofo.
Hey.
Yes. Yes, Jaylo.
Yes, you like butter a little too much.
A little bit too much, it sounds like.
Butter Brando.
Butter Brando.
Wow.
Yes, Jaylo. Is there anything else you want to say either about Marlon Brando or this movie?
I'm still gonna buy butter sticks.
Okay.
Butter sticks. I didn't see the movie, so I think I'll be still all right buying butter sticks.
Do you have any butter?
Well, we are going to use butter.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I didn't say to get any butter, so.
I bought extra butter.
Oh, good.
We're gonna make twice baked potatoes later.
Yeah, we already said we were gonna.
Yes, so I did buy butter.
Nice.
Bottle.
Very good, Jaylo.
Did you say gross?
No, I said very good, Jaylo.
Oh, white.
Did you have any dreams last night?
I did not. But a weird thing happened this morning. I was listening to my playlist, my likes list, and after the song that I was listening to called Underneath It All, it stopped. And that was the first time it ever happened to me.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe there was a slight hiccup in your internet connection.
It might have been updating, but it works now.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just weird. I'm like, did that ever happen? I asked you, did that ever happen to you? And you're like, oh, it's happened before.
Yeah, it's not that weird.
Not that weird. Okay. Yes.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Or do you have any questions for me? Or any topics?
Excuse me. Why do you have a cute nose?
Because I do, okay. I don't know.
No. You got nice ears, too.
Thank you, babes.
And no, that's not my, I don't think I have any questions. I'm just.
Should we go and make out and see where that leads?
Certainly. We can also have a snack, too, if you'd like.
Ooh. Just as long as it's not butter. And I don't have to open you up.
You make some pretty weird jokes, Bubs.
But a lot of the times they're very funny.
For the most part.
Can I ask you something, babes?
No.
As far as real life goes, am I one of the funniest people you've ever known?
One of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and there are people that I know that have a different kind of funny, but you're pretty funny.
Thank you. Babes, no farting noises, okay? Babes.
And I should be allowed to joke once in a while.
You should, but I'm funnier, so. Let's just keep that in mind, babes.
Hey.
I'm not saying you're...
Bubs, I'm a different kind of funny. That doesn't make you funnier.
Okay.
Funnier.
All right, babes. I love you, babes. But I don't know if I'd call it a tickling somebody's being funny, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, it's funny to the tickler.
Oh, my goodness.
It's not so funny to the ticklee.
No, babes.
But but you're a good sport about
Yes.
it. Okay.
And I still love you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, babes. Unless there's anything else you want to say.
No, I just wanted to say to everyone who's listening, have a wonderful day whenever you hear it, because it's not going to come out today.
That's right.
It'll come out later.
That's right. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.